Welcome to Resistance Chicks. Michelle will be here shortly.
The tweet started it all this week. Okay, are you guys ready? Because I think that you need to go put your seatbelts on. Because I wanted to do the Google hearing. It's really important. Kind of dull at some points. Kind of hard to get through. But I tried to bring the highlights to you. I did not want to bring you any Democrats. So they're all stupid. Siding with Google and China. Oh my God. However, the mudslinging, it was watching, trying to pin down Donald Trump is like trying to catch a pig in mud. Pig just gets wet and you just get muddy.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump picks up the mud and just starts throwing it when you try to catch him.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that
that's not how that saying goes.
Yeah, it is.
The pig gets angry and you get muddy.
Yeah, something like that. So Donald Trump started off this week with a world-shattering tweet. The Democrat congresswomen have been spewing some of the most vile, hateful, and disgusting things ever said by a politician in the House or Senate. And yet they get a free pass and a big embrace by the Democrat Party. Horrible, anti-Israel. Now, I'll explain some of this in a minute. Anti-USA, pro-terrorist, and public shouting of the F word. Many of other terrible things. And the petrified Dems running for the hills. Why isn't the House voting to rebuke the filthy and hate-laced things that they have said? Because they are the radical left and the Democrats are afraid to take them on. Sad. Now, he had also tweeted, I don't know if I have the one, they should go home tweet, but that's what really set them off. If they don't like it here, I know what it was. He said, if they don't like it here, they should go back to their countries who are failed states, fix it, and then come back and tell us how it's done.
Exactly.
Now, the whole go home, and everybody, even conservatives, were all upset because they are home, blah, blah, blah. Ilhan Omar may not be home, baby. She certainly wasn't born here. And last night on Tucker, breaking news.
Tucker.
Breaking news.
Love him.
That real journalists, I'm going to show you the articles and everything, have pinned down that her last name isn't Omar. It is Elmi, the name of her supposed second husband on the marriage certificate. It's Elmi. And that Elmi is her brother, and she and her sisters, a couple of her sisters, were put in under the umbrella of the Omar family because they had asylum status. And the Hershey, Elmi Hershey.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's Elmi Hershey. Okay. Elmi, whichever. It's hard to keep track. Anyways, they got asylum in the UK, which is why he went back there.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Okay.
Now they have. There are numerous accounts of them being brothers and sisters, but the Somali community, you're not allowed to speak out because they'll hurt you. All right.
But okay, so you know how this is like playing telephone. Originally, when we heard about her having married her brother, this was months and months ago.
Yeah.
I thought that the story went, she had married her brother to get into the United States, and now it's seeming that that's not true. And so now I'm going back to square one, which was, why did you marry your brother?
Well, because he had asylum in the UK.
Okay.
And she had asylum here.
Okay.
And so he came here.
Okay.
And he went to school here. But then he went back to the UK.
Yeah.
And she says, there's a lot of different things in this thread that I'm going to show you. But she said that she lost contact with him in 2011. But there's pictures on social media of her with him in 2012. And then she said that she couldn't find him to get a divorce. So she finally got a divorce in 2017. Although she was married to somebody else, according to a faith tradition. But she says her faith tradition, she married the other guy. But this guy, the Elmi guy, the marriage certificate that they did get married was by a Christian minister. So if you're so into your faith, why would you have a Christian minister marry you?
Right.
Anyways, we are going to, this was rocking and rolling. You don't even know. So here's Donald Trump. He's discussing his original tweet, and he doubles down on the original tweet of the UK. If you don't want to be here, you can leave.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave with our country. And I think everybody in this audience, these are great manufacturers, great workers in our audience too. They brought a lot of their workers here. If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. And that's what I say all the time. That's what I said in a tweet. I guess some people think it's controversial. A lot of people love it, by the way. A lot of people love it. But if you're
A lot of people love it.
happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
So he's sticking by what he said, sticking to his guns.
Well, that's just a very racist statement. Somebody that would say that. So Speaker Pelosi said, "Make America white again." Let me tell you, that's a very racist statement. I'm surprised she'd say that. John, go ahead. Well, they're very unhappy. I'm watching them. All they do is complain. So all I'm saying is, if they want to leave, they can leave, John. They can leave. I mean, I look at Omar. I don't know. I never met her. I hear the way she talks about Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda has killed many Americans. She said you could hold your chest out. You can, when I think of America, when I think of Al-Qaeda, I can hold my chest out.
It was the thing that was interesting in the class was every time the professor said Al-Qaeda, he sort of like his shoulders went up and
he's in command here.
Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah.
He's an expert.
It is that you don't say America with an intensity. You don't say England with an intensity.
Quiet.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
All right. So there's that.
Okay, this is good.
All right. So if you come after the president, the country, the flag, he's going to defend himself. What the squad, this is what they're calling the Justice League, doesn't like is that Donald Trump is enforcing the very laws that are on the books that were put there by Congress. Jason Chaffetz, and he says, go buy Jason's book.
Oh my gosh. That's a big plug for Jason.
Yeah. That's another story. Let me see. In the midst of all of this going on, wouldn't you know that in order to paint Donald Trump as a white supremacist, they bring on Richard Spencer.
Oh my gosh.
They gave him a microphone.
Oh no.
Do you know why they did? Because they have him on back pay. Because his whole life is ruined. He will never be the same person he could ever have been.
Yeah.
At some point, I think maybe he thought maybe they would get Donald Trump impeached and he could go back and say, I was just kidding. Ha ha ha. Can I live my life now? He literally has thrown his life down the rabbit hole because he's not a white supremacist. He's a paid actor to make Donald Trump look bad.
Yeah.
Hail our people, hail victory!
White nationalist Richard Spencer, who hailed Trump when he was first elected, is among those who are turning on Trump.
Many white nationalists will eat up this red meat that Donald Trump is throwing out there. I am not one of them. I recognize the con game that is going on.
They say Trump is all talk and no action on maintaining white dominance in America.
He gives us nothing outside of racist tweets. And by racist tweets, I mean tweets that are meaningless and cheap and express the kind of sentiments you might hear from your drunk uncle while he's watching Hannity.
Yes, that was Richard Spencer, the man who championed the 27...
Now, he really played his hand, I think, too much. He kind of showed his cards. He said he's turning on Trump because he obviously hates Trump. Yeah. So he has to come up with some way to try to paint Trump bad, but the best way to paint Trump bad is for him to be supporting him, but he just can't stomach it because he's a leftist. You can see it. I hate him. He's hated him from the very beginning.
Right.
He loves Obama. He's a leftist. He's so hardcore leftist that it bleeds through his body. He is... Everybody tried to say Richard Spencer supports Trump, white nationals support Trump. He is not a diehard Trump supporter. I would know if there was a white supremacist. You could just tell a redneck out there waving his flag. Yeah, baby. You know what I mean? That guy is paid with his slick hair and his stupid suit. You could just see it all over his face. But he's like, we're turning on Trump because he's all talk and no actions. All he does is some tweets that mean nothing. So Trump isn't a racist. He's not doing anything to make this country a white nationalist.
Right.
Bingo! Oh
my
God.
God.
Did you just hear what he said?
I'm with you. Absolutely.
Your drunk uncle.
It's actually embarrassing that CNN has had to stoop this low to go back to their clown.
The way they had like that woman do the voiceover to make it sound like it's real news.
I know. Oh my gosh.
All right. So since the media refuses to provide any context, here is a thread of statements by the Socialist Squad. Here is Ilhan Mohar. We're going to play it again.
And so it was the thing that was interesting in the class was
terrorism class.
Every time the professor said Al-Qaeda, he sort of like his shoulders went up and
Yeah, he's in command here.
Al-Qaeda,
He's an expert.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha.
I remember when I was in college, I took a terrorism class, and
is that a such thing?
Yeah, there was.
So you go. There is a lab for that.
There was a class that used.
Do you go to a lab? Then?
No,
you go out
we,
a field trip.
We learned the ideology of.
I'm glad you do that.
And so it was the thing that was interesting in the class was every time the professor said Al-Qaeda, he sort of like his shoulders went up and
Yeah, he's in command here.
Al-Qaeda,
He's an expert.
And it was
what's his name? What his name on
we
where
are
does he
not
live?
saying his name.
Yeah.
You probably get to see him on CNN.
Well, yeah, of course. I love those guys.
But it is that you don't say America with an intensity. You don't say England with an intensity. You don't say the army with an intensity. But you say these names because you want that word to carry weight. You want it to leave something.
It has a cultural meaning, not just
exactly. So it's said with a deeper voice. So yes, it is.
But when a non-white commit a violence or misbehave, we condemn the whole culture.
Mm-hmm.
But when a white condemned, we just go to psychoanalysis that he didn't have a girlfriend when he was growing up.
White versus Muslim.
Right.
That is how they see the world. Do you understand? White, that's the way they see it.
Right. Which doesn't make any sense because it's not a matter of color of skin because so many white people have white Muslims. You have religions of all. White people cover a wide span of
In my
religions.
opinion, they just showed that they're racist and that they are supremacists.
Yeah.
And to them, real Muslims are not white.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you understand the way they say it?
I understand what you're saying. I'm saying not the other side, just something separate. And that is the fact that being white in and of itself doesn't make you go do things. So when he says you psychoanalyze, well, white is just like a very broad term. Okay, what religion was said white person? Because what are the political views? How were they raised? What makes a person do something so crazy?
It was like he's not capable of committing violence because he's white.
Yeah. So that's an interesting point. When you have an individual inside of in a Western society that goes on and does commit like mass murder, we have mass shootings that happen constantly here. We investigate that person and what has driven them to commit that act. When an act is committed by these Muslim, terrorists, what we investigate is that whole community. We investigate that whole faith. We investigate that whole society. And everyone is supposed to have some answer to why these people are doing this. when it is those individuals that people need to be investigating. It is their lives that needs to be.
But why is it that these Al-Qaeda and Hezbollah groups are groups of people? So when they get investigated, they're investigating these groups of people.
I do not
Totally surprised.
I do not participate
You are a
in
Shabab.
their...
Well, Shabab is young,
It's
isn't
young.
So, yeah, exactly. And you would say if you're part of Al-Qaeda, if you're part of Hezbollah, are you part of... So what most of these terrorists are linked to a cell and a larger group like
They're not
ISIS,
just individual crazed
ISIS
Muslims.
or Al-Qaeda. They are in part of a cell. They're in part of a group. So if there were KKK people, if there were white supremacists, if there's a group of people who are, part of something. So you're not investigating the whole community.
These two people are a little bit quick.
No, it's scary.
I mean,
actually.
this is like insanity.
All right, so here's Donald Trump.
What they did and the way they're treating Israel is a disgrace. But not only Israel, it's what they say about our country. It's my opinion they hate our country. And that's not good. It's not acceptable. Thank you very much, everybody.
It's not acceptable to hate our country, okay?
No, and you can't serve something that you hate. All right, speaking of hate.
Oh my gosh.
Now, here is an RNC. The Republican National Committee releases a brutal new campaign highlighting the extreme rhetoric coming from Ilhan Omar, Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, and Ayanna Pressley, who just gets to be like the sidekick.
Right.
She hasn't made... She gets to be seen with them, but not heard.
Right. Isn't she the tall black lady?
She's the black lady. The tall black lady. Anyways, it just so happens that they happen to be women of a darker shade, but they all happen to be part of the Justice Democrats, Socialist Communists. And the man who was shot after he tried to bomb the ICE facility was part of Antifa. He had a manifesto that said, we can't allow concentration camps in our country. So here is Ocasio-Cortez saying the United States is running concentration camps, and he literally bombed them. She is responsible for his death.
Oh,
he was a crazy guy.
Wow.
But she led him to... If you believed that there were concentration camps in your country, you put your life on the line. You would stop.
Yeah.
If the Jews were being murdered in gas chambers, I would go and I would put my life on the line. We'd stop them. You know what I mean?
I agree.
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border. Never again means something.
If this organization is as fascist as you have called it, and you have said it's fascist, then why don't you adopt the stance to eliminate it?
Your colleague who was at the border with you compared the facilities to a concentration camp. Do you agree with that comparison? Absolutely.
You will see the light, and if you don't, we will bring the fire.
A car in the parking lot was torched, and investigators say the suspect threw flares at a propane tank, trying to make it explode.
They took down an American flag and a Colorado state flag, and instead, as you see in some of this video, they raised a Mexican flag.
We are learning new details about the man who threw explosive devices at an immigration detention center in Tacoma, Washington.
Will you condemn Antifa for attacking an ICE facility? Will you condemn the Antifa attack in Washington over the weekend? Will you condemn Antifa for the attack in Washington?
Wow.
So,
pretty powerful.
Mike Cernovich pointed out, don't deport Ilhan Omar yet. Make this last out just like you did with the Russian collusion.
Right.
At least through 2020.
Yeah.
Because the squad isn't the same without her. Because she has committed a lot of real crimes. And like real illegal things.
Right.
So she kind of is their anchor. She has, the Democrats did an internal poll that got leaked.
Oh boy.
AOC has a name recognition of 74%.
Okay.
But a positive whatever feeling about her at 22%.
Amongst Democrats.
22% are positive. Ilhan Omar, 9% positive amongst Democrats.
Wow. That's cool. That's good. Wow.
Yeah, you can read some comments if you want.
You know what? My brain is so fuzzy with Nemo and
Okay, then don't.
Britt Boz says Michelle Lindsay Lohan, black or brown yet? Isn't black or brown yet? She's a Muslim. She's she changes really every day. Not,
yeah.
I mean, she's straight. She's bi. She's homo.
I'm tired of slandering America, and so is Congressman Dan Mauser.
Speaker, I rise today in opposition to House Resolution 489, the latest legislative attack on the president. Much like most of the ideas and comments coming from the leading members of the socialist left, yesterday's press conference was at best political theater. In the last few days, Democrat members of this House have attacked the president with claims of racism. Some have even said, and then walked back, similar comments referring to the Democrat House Speaker. None of those accusations are based in fact. As the representative of the people of the 9th Congressional District of Pennsylvania, I feel it is most important to address this matter and then move on to engage in the work and the matters of real substance and importance to the people of our country, rather than baseless name-calling and offensive lectures. The ongoing policy debate across the country will continue to be socialism versus American exceptionalism. The people will decide our direction. What has really happened here is that the president and his supporters have been forced to endure months of allegations of racism and concentration camp accusations. This slander, this ridiculous slander, does a disservice to our nation and the American people, and I, like many, am tired of it. I urge a no vote on the resolution aimed purely at harassing the President of the United States. And I yield back.
Nancy Pelosi got up, and it was mayhem, bedlam, mayhem, craziness. She called Trump a racist. They were supposed to just condemn the tweets, but instead it was a resolution calling Trump himself a racist.
And what were they going to do with this resolution, by the way?
It just was going to go on the record.
Okay.
It's just going to go on the record. So this is Terrence Williams putting out... why would a so-called racist invite me and hundreds of other black Americans to the White House?
We at the White House right now. White House. Look at all these recruiters turning around. Hey!
I hope he's okay. Didn't he have that really bad car?
He's better.
Good.
Yeah, he's better. So here's the thing. It's crazy because Donald Trump just wants anybody and everybody to support him. Whether they are black, whether they are white, whether they're Hispanic, whether they're anything. Donald Trump is an equal opportunity offender, and he's an equal opportunity lover. If you love him, he loves you. If you will work with him, he will work with you.
So, I mean, one of the things that bothered me about Trump in the beginning...
He's always tweeting about Kanye West.
Way early on... was his affiliation with people like Al Franken.
I know.
And with Jackson. I'm like, there are photos of him with them.
He was given an award by them.
I mean, seriously, it's like the black community loved Trump.
Everybody.
And Trump loved the black community.
And that was what some other black people were saying. It's like Trump used to be synonymous with, I want to be like Trump.
Every rap song has Trump in it in a positive light.
Right, exactly.
I mean, come on. This is absolute ridiculous. So you can't call him a racist.
Right.
You can dislike his policies. You can think he's a crummy person. I don't care. But you can't call him a racist.
I know the politics of Ilhan Omar. I know their backgrounds. I know where they're coming from.
And they are racist.
And if they want to go home, they want to change. Here, I love my country. And I believe in this Christian founding of this country. And I'm not going to apologize. This is the greatest country in the history of the world. And they drag it through the mud.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to appreciate George Washington and just call him a dirty slave owner, if they're not going to appreciate Thomas Jefferson and his works, then you will not appreciate the Constitution. You will not appreciate the Declaration of Independence. And if doing so, then you cannot uphold our founding documents. You should definitely not be serving in our government.
I think that...
And you should not... If you don't appreciate that God inspired this country to become a more perfect union, a union that could come together on the principles of Christianity, that would be perfected on the principles of Christianity, getting better and better by the day, hopefully, then you should not be here.
I want to explain something to you guys to understand the way that our country was founded with the Constitution, with the Bill of Rights, with the Articles of Confederation, with all of our founding documents. It sets us up as a republic, and there is a reason why the justices of the Supreme Court are supposed to, now whether they do or not is up for, but they are legally bound to interpret the Constitution and every case that comes before them to make sure that it lines up with original intent.
Right.
And so every congressperson,
if you're going to change the original intent, you have to actually
amend the Bill of Rights, or you have to add to the Bill of Rights. You have to make an amendment to the Constitution.
Right.
And so there has been a disservice that has happened to children, and it started actually when I was a child, and that is touting America as a democracy where as we evolve as Americans and we want to change laws, then we can vote and change things. No, it's supposed to be very difficult in our country to change the foundation because our founders set it up to say this is the best way that our country is supposed to run.
If you can't say America's the best country it's ever been, if you can't say that you support the founding and you support the founders and you admire the founders, you shouldn't be in our government. You shouldn't be serving in our government.
Because these people have literally gotten in treasonously to go in and get rid of and wipe out our Constitution. They want to transform our nation to something completely different, which is why they openly talk about hating our country. So they're not representing you. They're representing their agenda.
I was happy to have Trump come and talk about Ilhan Omar and the squad. I don't think it was I know he's not a racist. So they got together. CNN got together, actually 8 Trump supporters to see if they still support Trump. Their answers are just they knocked it out of the park.
They're of course going to have their say. So we were curious whether the president's base was still behind him, particularly his female supporters. Did any object to his
Make sure they can see the video behind you.
This attack on the 4 female lawmakers, or is it all just politics, as Mike said earlier? 360's Randy Kay spoke with some of them in Dallas.
How many of you don't think what the president said was racist? Raise your hand. These 8 Republican women from Dallas don't see anything wrong with President Trump telling 4 Democratic congresswomen to go back where they came from.
He was saying that if they hate America so much, because what we're seeing out of them and hearing out of them, they hate America. If it's so bad, there's a lot of places they can go.
I'm a brown-skinned woman. I am a legal immigrant. I agree with him.
You don't think that's racist to say that?
Not at all.
No, actually, I think it's just it's a demonstration of how their ideology spills over. Even though they're American now, so to speak, they're not acting American.
I'm glad that the president said what he said, because all they're doing is they're inciting hatred and division, and that's not what our country's about. It's not about that at all. And
isn't that what the president does with some of his own comments, his own racist comments?
But he didn't say anything about color.
We know the president is not racist. He loves people from, Hispanics, the black people, all across the board.
Let me just share with you the definition of racism from Merriam-Webster Dictionary.
Like they don't know. How condescending.
Race is the primary determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Based on that definition, do you not think what the president has been saying to these
No, he dated a black woman for 2 years. 2 of his wives are immigrants. He is not a xenophobic racist.
The black billionaire is endorsing President Trump.
Yeah.
How can you call him racist?
So these congressmen who said they ran for Congress, ran for office because they explicitly love this country, you're saying that's a lie.
So
yes.
You're saying they hate this country.
So Donald Trump says, I'm not a racist. When this interviewer is leading all these questions and somebody calls her out on it, because would you sit down and say, Donald Trump says he's not a racist? Yeah. Why would you believe that he's a racist if he says he's not a racist? She's saying, well, these women said that they love the country. Why would you doubt that?
Right.
Yes. Whoever wrote these questions up, it's clearly that they're very manipulative to accuse instead of extracting the truth.
It's a tactic.
Because when you say, don't you think he's racist? You're accusing us. You're accusing him.
I'm asking. I'm not accusing. I'm asking you what
but
you
think. But you've been told. Okay. It's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the real issue. It has nothing to do with the premise of the issues here.
Exactly.
And whenever someone...
The color of the 4.
Why do you keep bringing
Do you think it's just a coincidence that these 4 congresswomen that the president is going after, none of them are white?
Yes, but they're going after him.
I don't think it matters. It's idiotic what they're saying. So it doesn't matter whether they're white, man, woman, brown, yellow, anything.
I wish that there was a white one that why are they not racist? How come they haven't befriended one of their white female congresswomen colleagues and let her join
because they won't.
That's a good point.
They don't like white people. Come on. They're racist.
How many of you still plan to vote for President Trump?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Randy Kay, CNN.
I'm surprised they did that. I don't understand. Like, couldn't they have doctored that or just not even used it?
I'm sure they doctored some of the even better stuff out. But it was pretty cool. The questions were clearly leading. Just because he's...
Well, she just said some of his racist tweets. Yeah. Like, she just says them as a fact.
Yeah.
So here you are asking if you think that they're racist, but then you're actually saying that it's a fact that they are racist. And so, if they agree... or if they disagree that Trump's tweets are racist, then obviously then they're racist too. And that's the way that the question was supposed to read.
Exactly.
Unstinking believable.
But those women did a good job.
They did. But I'm kind of, another thing that nobody called out, where is CNN located? What, California?
Probably New York.
New York, whatever. Why did they go to Texas and get a bunch of women that have accents that are white?
I know.
Why did you go to Texas? We've got 2 Ohio women that support Trump. You didn't come to Ohio where people don't have accents. It's this stereotype that they went to because they were trying to get women that would sound stupid.
Mm-hmm, probably.
Well, I just support Trump, just whatever he does.
Right, exactly.
You know, but those women surmounted their accents.
All right, we got Liz Cheney out of Wyoming, and she just destroys the left here. Just listen.
I wanted to talk about what's gone on over the last few days. I want to make absolutely clear that our opposition to our socialist colleagues has absolutely nothing to do with their gender, with their religion, or with their race. It has to do with the content of their policies. They're wrong when they attempt to impose the fraud of socialism on the American people. They're wrong when they pursue policies that would steal power from the American people and give that power to the government. They're wrong when they espouse and enable, and their leadership refuses to condemn, vile anti-Semitism. They're wrong when they rush to blame America first, when they fail to recognize that this is the greatest nation that has ever existed, the exceptional nation. And they're wrong when they fail to recognize that no people has ever lived in greater freedom. And then they go on and fail to provide the resources our men and women in uniform need to defend that freedom. Our colleagues, our socialist colleagues on the other side of the aisle, are wrong when they advocate abortion up until the moment of birth, including partial birth abortion, late-term abortion, and when they refuse to mandate care for babies who are born alive. Our colleagues are wrong when they say that we should open America's borders, abolish ICE, and abolish DHS. They're wrong when they advocate policies that would eliminate all private health insurance in this country, destroy Medicare, and force the American people to pay for free health care for illegal immigrants. They are wrong when they pursue policies like the one we're going to be voting on today that will destroy 4 million jobs for low-wage earners by mandating a federal $15 minimum wage. That is not compassion. That's a callousness that's born of ignorance. They're wrong when they say that their programs help people at the lower end of the economic spectrum. Every one of their socialist programs would create massive new government dependency and end the very economic growth we need to ensure everyone can prosper. Our colleagues are wrong when they advocate packing the Supreme Court and abolishing the Electoral College. And our colleagues are wrong when they tell Americans, as Congresswoman Presley did just last weekend, that any individual seat at the table is only valuable, only legitimate, if that person espouses some pre-approved set of beliefs deemed appropriate based on their religion or their gender or their race. When they say that, that is racist. So, no, our opposition to our colleagues' beliefs has absolutely nothing to do with race or gender or religion. We oppose them and their policies because their policies are dangerous and wrong and would destroy America. The issue here is the content of their policies, and we will continue to stand up and fight against what we know is wrong for this nation.
What's this lady's name?
She is Liz Cheney from Wyoming.
Wow.
Thank you to the viewers.
Said,
We're
Liz.
so glad that you're here, that you find us, because you obviously have to diligently seek us out and find us to be able to watch us on Fridays and Sundays. So thank you for that.
PO box?
107 Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your stuff, we will read them on air. I haven't checked it in a while. I need to go and do that. So we love you. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory.
Vila Momar married her brother.
And that's
what
true.
she did.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Good night, guys. God bless.
I was cold.